Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Nez Porter. Today we're going to re-screen a screen. So we're going to take out the old mesh, put in the new mesh, and we're going to reuse the same spleen though, because the spleen is, for the most part, is always still good. So as you can see, there's a little hole right there. Now some people do have patch kits that you can replace it with. But in this case, we're going to replace the whole screen and reuse the spleen. So I'm going to kind of set this down so you guys could try to get an idea what I'm doing. It may not be the best, but see if I can angle this down so you can see what I'm doing. Give me a second here, guys. This might go down enough. So right there, you should be able to see. I'm gonna get my trusty screwdriver, and I'm gonna take out this little it's kind of tight in there too. Probably been there from the weather. Got one out. Second one. Now all I'm doing is removing the, so you get an idea what I'm doing. I'm removing this little handle because it's directly in the way of the track of the spleen. So if I don't do that, this could make it more difficult to remove the spleen in the mesh. It's very important to pay attention to the orientation of the handle itself, so you can see which direction it is. Because I have seen these handles put on backwards. This is the correct way it should be. I've seen some in a not so good position. All it is just loosening up 4 screws and now the next step is to remove the mesh in the screen. There's a couple of ways you can do it. You can just push it through the back real hard at the corner and it may pop up, or get a 5-in-1 tool such as the one I have. Kind of gently go in the corner. Just lift that little spleen up. You're not trying to damage it. You just gently want to raise that up to a point where you can just kind of pull it, don't yank it, kind of gently just pull it up like this. You guys can see that, just go around the whole thing. Just kind of dance around it, just. And keep in mind, I'm gonna use the same spleen over, so it usually never falls in the exact same blueprint. Phone's always ringing. It never falls in the same exact blueprint, but it can be done. Let's take out the old one, like that. Get around to the whole thing. And pull this out. Keep this, because this spleen is, we're going to use this one over. It's still intact, so we're going to use that same spleen over. I'll take out the old mesh. Just pull it. Pull that out. New mesh. The most important thing with this is try to make it as square as possible. So you're going to take it, roll out a generous amount across the whole screen, the whole frame itself. Leave a little bit on the outer end so you can kind of do what you have to do. So when it's all said and done, it should look something like that. And you're gonna pull it kind of taut as you roll it in. We'll get back to you in 1 second, guys, so stand by. All right, guys, so now the other most important thing is you should have a pretty sharp knife. A dull knife, or I should say dull razor, is not gonna work. So I got a pretty sharp blade there. I don't know if you can see it. Probably use it maybe 4 or 5 times, but it's sharp enough to do what I need to do. Now, keep in mind, I'm on a carpet here, so I'm not gonna try to cut directly over the thing. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna kind of shimmy this forward a little bit to give me a line right there, and then I'm gonna kind of cut like this. Gently just cut right there and just cut across this. Because you don't want to cut across the actual carpet, because if you do that, you're gonna have problems. So there, it's pretty good. So just cut that little excess off. Always keep your fingers behind the blade. Don't put it in front, because you know about it. Typically, you could do this on a table, workbench. There's nothing specific that you have to use. You just gotta have a flat surface. So now I got my line up. Now the next thing you're gonna need is one of these kind of rollers right here. So this roller is very important. I'm starting with the one with the grooves on it first. I'm gonna get my spleen, and I'm gonna try to duplicate the same thing, the same way I took it off. It's not going to be 100% because this stuff does stretch. So if it falls in the same footprint, it's good. But don't expect it to fall in the same exact footprint unless it's the exact. So here we go. Let's see how we're going to start right here and work our way down. How about that? Here we do it that way. We start from this little corner. Make sure I got enough on every side that I'm not going to have to pinch anything to go around. And the toughest thing is just getting it started. Once you get it started, keep it kind of taut and kind of gently just roll it in. Just like that. I have a little excess at the end of it, but I'll cut that off when I'm done. As long as this fits in the same slot here, which it does. Give it a little tug. I'm giving myself a little extra in that corner, so I'm going to come back and push it down a little bit in that corner. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Keep my screen kind of taut when I roll this in. Sorry that I'm not showing you all the details on how it's done, but you kind of get an idea. You take a look at it so far. See how it's kind of rolled in place. When I get on the other end, I gotta pull that nice and taut, kind of at an angle to get it straight. You kind of see. And this is one of many things I do when I'm at work. So I figure I'll do a quick video. And I'm probably not doing it justice because normally I would do this in the workshop. But I'm doing this inside of an actual unit to save efforts of commuting up and down, back and forth. So kind of get the idea what I'm doing. Same thing here. I kind of pull it, kind of not tight, but oh, it's snug. You're gonna stop and kind of overreach again. Move that out the way. Gonna have a little. See that? Now we're getting there. We got one more side to do, which is this side. Do the same exact thing. Let's get it nice and taut. Make sure you get the right side. Now the other side is for after you got it in there, you're gonna kind of and before I cut the excess off, I'll get my flat side. Roll it down again, which is sitting all the way in there. Stay in the track. This one's easier to work with. If you have the metal mesh, you gotta be real careful because the metal mesh, you know, it's more firm. Okay. Now I did that. Get my 5-in-1 tool and just push these corners down because these corners are very important. You gotta be careful because you don't want to cut the mesh. So yeah, only pushing on the rubber. Sometimes it's better to get a not so sharp 5-in-1 tool because if you're not careful, you will cut the mesh and you'll find yourself just doing the whole screen all over again. Now you'll learn from your mistakes. If you don't use the right tools or take your time, you'll notice. Now I still got my sharp razor. That's gonna come in handy. So, you guys gotta kind of get the gist of it. Now we're here. I got my last corner before I start cutting. So we'll cut. I'll push this down, nice and firm on the rubber. Don't push nothing else but the rubber. If you push anything else, if you gotta stay close, stay to the frame side rather than the screen side. That's one thing I can tell you. Now, I'm gonna cut the axis off here. Just a little snip. Cut that right there. Push this down with my 5-in-1 tool so it seats right in that track, just like so. Okay, now the screen is done. All you can do now is cut off the axis on the edge. Now take your razor, keep it against the fence of the bracket, right against here. See this? Slide across, just like that. Stay right on it, nice and slow. There's no rush. Stay right there. Now keep in mind your corners are going to be a little challenging because there's going to be that one spot that you're not going to be able to cut. But you can do it by going like this. Cut it all the way in. Come back. Kind of raise it up a little bit. Cut it. One more. Cut that one. Now, take your time because if you rush, and you either cut yourself or cut the screen, it's going to take you longer to do the next one. So just take your time. We're not in a race. See that? Nice and slow. Then get the corner. Come back and check what you didn't cut. Raise it, cut it. Kind of spin it a little bit. Same thing here again. Nice and slow. Right against the fence. Slide it, keep it at that angle. You kind of get the feel of it. Same thing over here. Cut it. Stop. Cut the axis. Now, this is the last. Now, if I was rushing and I made a mistake, now I have to do this whole process all over again. That's not what I want to do. I want to be able to do it once and get it done. Get that out the way. Now just check. If there's any parts that you missed, kind of gently raise it. Don't yank it. Gently remove it. So now you have a finished product. Your screen is now completed. Next thing is just put the handles back on. So you see I have a spot right there. I'm gonna put the handle back on. Put this one over here. They both should be the same, but I like to keep just in case the holes don't line up, put the same one that came off the same side back on. Sometimes the holes may not line up 100% if you get one that's kind of off a little bit. So, screw that one in. You can do it fast if you want to, but I say take your time, because there's no rush. I mean, if it takes you 15 minutes to do a screen, you know, that's probably about average time. Some people could do it in 5 minutes. Some people take a little longer, take 10. Me, I'm not in the race, so it all depends on what I'm doing. Obviously, it took me longer because I'm trying to demonstrate what I'm doing rather than speed through it. That, my friends, is how you redo a screen. Not bad. You see where I was telling you guys about pushing it down. So if you look real close, see how I had to set that in there so that's not protruding. So even over here, you don't want you want it to look pretty decent. You don't want it to look like somebody just threw it together. Do that. Come over here. Get the same thing. So it's not bad. I didn't pull it tight. I gave it a little give, so it's kind of loose. But you could pull them tighter. But you don't necessarily have to pull them that tight. So that's what we have. And looking at it from this angle, looks perfectly okay. All right, guys. That's Nez Porter putting the mesh into the screen. Catch you guys in the next one. I try to do more of these videos if I can, so I'll try. Catch you guys in the next one.